Ford and the assembly line. Although not the first to manufacture automobiles in the US or to use mass production, Henry Ford created the world's first mass market automobile. His success not only established Ford Motor Company as one of the industry leaders, but it transformed society in ways that Ford himself could never have anticipated. Although cars have given us economic development and freedom of movement, they have also brought pollution and gridlock. The horseless carriage boom. Hmm. In the closing decades of the 19th century, the biggest environmental headaches for city planners in North America and Western Europe was not poor sanitation, slum overcrowding, or pollution, but the horse. By 1880, there were so many horse drawn vehicles in the world's major metropolises that the city fathers of New York, Paris, and London were warned that by 1930 their streets would disappear under 9 feet or 3 meters of horse manure. In 1886, as if answering their prayers, Carl Benz produced the Benz patent motor wagon, automobile equipped with a gasoline powered internal combustion engine. With its high carriage seat and outsized rear wheels, the motor wagon looked a lot like a buggy horse whose horse had gone astray mid-ride. But with this rather ungainly, clunky beginning, the automobile age had begun. The first decades of the auto industry are akin to the dot-com boom of the late 1990s. Hundreds of young idealistic inventors and engineers could see the tremendous potential of the automobile, but their dreams were outpaced by the materials. But their dreams were outpacing the materials, science, and technology of the day. They were also guilty of overestimating the size of a market. The infrastructure was not yet available to realize such dreams. When gas first came about, it was originally sold as a cleaning product by drugstores. The first cars that were offered on the market were handmade in tiny quantities and sold to wealthy enthusiasts and hobbyists. Benz, the leading automaker of the period, only sold 25 motor wagons between 1886 and 1893. Undeterred, hundreds of engineers and inventors went into business, experimenting with a wide range of engine technologies, including steam, electricity, early hybrids, and internal combustion, using an equally wider range of fuels. However, like any investment bubble growing from any new technology, after the initial excitement, many firms went bust, shattering the dreams of young entrepreneurs and losing investors their money. In 1903, the attorney Horace Rackham went to his bank for advice about a potential investment. The investment in question was 50 ordinary shares at $100 a share in a new automobile company being set up by his friend and client Henry Ford. The unnamed bank manager replied dismissively, "The horse is here to stay, but the automobile is only a novelty, a fad." Rackham, to his credit and considerable profit, ignored the advice and raised a 5,000 stake to taking out a loan and selling real estate holdings. In investing in the Ford Motor Company, he was taking a significant risk. Henry Ford was the son of an Irish farmer and a second-generation Belgian mother, who were farmers in Greenland near Detroit, Michigan. Henry's parents hoped he would take over the family farm, but he had other interests and ambitions. At age 16, Ford went to Detroit to become an apprentice machinist. He got a job as an engineer in the Edison Illuminating Company. Ford was promoted to chief engineer in 1893, but in his spare time he experimented with the new internal combustion engines that were coming out of Europe. In 1869, he built his first vehicle, the Ford Quadricycle, more a motorized cycle than a true automobile. In 1899, Ford left Edison and set up the Detroit Automobile Company, determined to crack the burgeoning auto market. It faltered, so the Henry Ford Company came about in 1901 and later renamed Ford Motor Company in 1903. It was then that Ford realized that rather than building a high-performance racers and roadsters for the few, he should manufacture a car for the great multitude. With a couple of business failures behind him, Ford risked everything, his reputation, all of his money, as well as his investors, to create the Ford Model A. Ford's gamble paid off, and he sold over 1,700 Model A's, securing the future of the firm. His subsequent rise was nothing short of meteoric. In 1904, he founded Ford Canada. In 1906, Ford became the top-selling auto brand in the U.S., with close to 9,000 cars sold. In 1909, he founded Ford of Britain, opening the company's first overseas factory in Manchester, England. In 1911 and 1913, Ford established itself in South America and Argentina. Between 1903 and 1908, Ford and Wills designed 9 models each year, given a letter, though not all passed the prototype stage. In 1908, Ford introduced the Model T, which remained in production until 1927, with 15 million cars sold worldwide. Although Ford did not invent mass production, or the auto assembly line, Oldsmobile had gotten there before him, he introduced it on a much larger scale and applied it more rigorously in his factory at Highland Park. By 1914, the production time for the Model T had dropped from 12.5 hours to just 93 minutes. The Ford Model T looks like a basic automobile, with the usual arrangements of front-mounted engine, chassis, pedals, steering wheel, and 4 wheels, but looks can be deceptive. Because the Model T does not have a battery, the driver started the engine by hand, cranking a magneto with a handle at the front of the radiator. Because the engine could kick back, the driver had to cup the handle in the palm of his hand rather than grasp it to avoid a broken thumb. The choke was operated from a wire at the base of the radiators so that it could be used during cranking. Once started, the 4-cylinder inline engine had a top speed of 40 to 50 miles per hour, with a fuel consumption of 13 to 21 miles per gallon. But the greatest difference from a modern car was driving. The driver used 3 pedals, high and low gears, reverse gear, and engine brake, and 2 levers, handbrake, and throttle. The Ford automobile. Ford, Argentina and South America, Canada, Britain. That's a decent amount. I didn't think that Ford had gone so far, like so quickly. I really didn't think so. But again, wanted to show you a quick picture. Oh, remember yesterday how I was talking about white rubber tires? There you go. White rubber tires. See? Everything's come back. All my weird technology comes back. But all of the weird things I have in my brain, it all comes back. But 15 million Ford, cars were sold by 1927, and it primarily the Model T, known as Lizzie, I would like to say. But Ford did it on a big scale.